show you how to make a commercial grade router using PFSense and an old Optiplex 755 desktop. In this case, I used a small form factor because it just takes up less space. But any desktop computer will work. With these small form factors, you got to be sure you get a half-height network card because a full-size one is too big to fit in there, or modify it yourself, which is what I did in this case. I'm going to be installing PFSense, and then we're going to be installing Squid and SquidGuard to use for content filtering, and we can also use that to block ads and various other things. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to go to PFSense's website and download it. Now there's several options here, but we're going to want the 2.25 install. Of course, if you're watching this later on in the future, there may be a different version here. And we're using a AMD 64-bit, which anything made after the Pentium 4 will be 64, and the Pentium 4 and older might be 32-bit. Some of the Pentium 4s were 32, some were 64, but anything before that's definitely 32. And we want the live CD with installer. Download from the country nearest to you. Then we're going to want to save the file. And PFSense is a little bit interesting in the fact that it doesn't just let you download the ISO. It has you download an ISO.gz, which is a kind of like a compressed file. And we're going to need to use 7-zip to extract that, because Windows computers can't extract GZ files without third-party software. If you're using Linux or something, then it's no problem, but on Windows you need 7-zip or a program like WinRAR or something like that, but 7-zip's free. So we're going to download you can either do 64 or 32 depending on what kind of computer you have. I have the 64-bit, so we're going to download that. And now it looks like both of those files are done. So let's go ahead and install 7-zip. I don't think you actually have to restart your computer. Okay, so now let's minimize this. Okay, so now we downloaded 7-zip. Let's go ahead and extract the GZ file. Just extract it to the desktop. There we go. So now we have, move it up here so you can see it. Now we have pfsense.gz, which we no longer need. And we have pfsense.iso. And it looks like the ISO file is inside of this folder. So now we're going to need to download ImageBurn. Any CD burning software should work for this, but I use ImageBurn. You can get it from their website. Now on this program they try to get you to install their junkware. So you have to be sure you uncheck everything. It's good software, but they try to trick you on installing it. But if you're sure you uncheck everything, then it comes without any kind of adware or anything. Thank you for installing. Okay, now we can close out this. Close out that. Now we can go to open up image burn. We're going to go to write image file to disk. Then we can find PFSense and open it up there. And then if I actually had a disk in, which I don't, you would press this button. It would click OK a few times and go ahead and burn the disk. But since I already have a disk of it, I'm not going to do this step. So then after you burn the disk, just take it out and put it in the computer that you're going to run PFSense on. And we'll take a look at that computer now. PFSense CD in the disk drive on the computer. So now we just got to turn the computer on. And since it is a Dell, F12 is the key we'll want to use to get it to boot from CD. My screen's rather dusty there. Okay, so now you can't see it, but the option that is selected is boot from CD. So now it's booting up. It'll do this for about 5 minutes or so before it's actually ready. We're just going to let it auto boot. Now it's going to do this for, I don't know, 5 minutes at least. So I'm just going to stop the recording and then start again when it comes to the first option for the sake of time. Okay, so we came to an option here. But we're just going to let it go ahead and auto boot continue in 1 seconds. And then alright, now it's asking me if I want to set up VLANs, which we don't. And now it's asking us which of the network cards we want to use for the WAN interface. Now this interface is going to be hooked up to your modem, whether it be cable or DSL or whatever it is you have. The one that connects to the internet is going to be the WAN interface. And here are our options. We have EM0, which is a Intel Pro 1000. That's the one integrated onto the motherboard. And then we have FXP0, which is a Intel Pro 100 card. Now that's the half-height add-in card that I put in this computer. So for the WAN, that's the connection coming in, I am going to use the add-in card I put in, which is going to be FXP0. And then it's asking me if I want what I want to use for the LAN interface, which I'm going to use the Pro 1000 card, which is EM0. 0, not O. Now on other computers, these may be different. Of course, these will be different network cards, and so they'll have different names over here. You'll have to look at this on your specific computer to see what the network cards are named. And we do not have an optional interface. We could run another card if we were trying to do load balancing of some kind or something, but we're not trying to do that here, so we don't have one. So now we want to proceed, of course. This will take a minute. While we're waiting on this computer, let's just take a look inside of a random Power Mac G4. I'm a little bit interested to see how one of these Power Mac G4s would run PFSense, because there is a RISC version of PFSense. So there's a random look inside of a computer for the day. So now back to this. We are still configuring the LAN interface. This little CD drive is really loud, and configuring firewall. Web configurator. Alright, now it's completely booted up, and it could be functional as a router. We could use it as is and connect to the web interface and everything, but then it would have to boot off the CD. So we're going to want to use option 99 down here, which is installed to a hard drive. Make it into a permanent setup. We go into the very old non-GUI installer here, and we go to accept these settings. Let's do a quick install. This will erase all of the contents in your hard drive. So don't do this if you have anything on your hard drive you care about, obviously. And now it's going to run this install. There's really nothing to see here, so for the sake of time I'm just going to stop the video and then start again at the next time we have something to do. So about 10 minutes or so later, it's finally finished that, and it asks if I want to install a custom kernel, which I do not. No reason to for me. So now it's gonna install the kernel, and now it's ready to reboot. So now we reboot it, and as soon as that goes down, I'm going to take out the CD so it doesn't try to boot off of it again. Go ahead and remove the disk. So now we're going to boot off the hard drive. It boots much faster off of the hard drive, needless to say. And it's already finished booting. So now that it's finished, we can see here the WAN is configured through DHCP, and it has an address from the address my main router here gave it. And the LAN is configured to 192.168.1.1. which could be anything. You configure it to, but that's the default. So now all we have to do is get on another computer and access the web interface. Now what I did, since I don't have a wire, I got this here router, which is a WRT54G. I flashed DDWRT on it, and now it is a access point instead of a router. So right now I've got it plugged into the LAN card on this, and then I will be able to access this router over Wi-Fi. Okay, so as you can see, I connected to my Wi-Fi network, which is a old WRT54G that has been converted to an access point using DDWRT. So now I can go on, and you can see here that the internet is working just fine coming through my PFSense router. So now we can go up here to 192.168.1.1, and now we have to make sure that there's an HTTPS, because it won't connect if you don't do the S on it. Now if you're using Firefox like I am, then you got to go to I understand the risk, add exception, get certificate, confirm certificate. But if you're using Chrome or something else, then the steps may be different. But I always have had luck with Firefox, so that's what I use. Now on this, the username is admin, and the password is PFSense. And now that'll let you on. Go through the initial setup wizard here, and you can give it a name, which doesn't really matter. Now primary DNS, I usually use Google because it is 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.8. or 8.8.4.8. Those are Google's DNS servers, and this will use those instead of your local internet service provider. A lot of the local ISP DNS servers aren't going to be as fast as Google's is, so I always tell the router to use Google's. Now you set your time zone, which for me is Central Standard Time, and set the WAN interface. That's where you get your internet. You'll want to leave that at DHCP unless you have some kind of special internet connection you're dealing with. And this is what the IP address for the local side, which is what we connected to. You can change it to anything you want there. And then here's where you set the admin password, which I'm just going to set it to admin to make it easy. Of course, I wouldn't do that in a permanent situation, just to make it easy for now. I was going to reload with our settings up to date. Congratulations, PFSense is now configured. Please consider, okay. Continue. So here we are at our dashboard. What I like to do is go into here and add traffic graphs, and this will show you usage on the WAN and the LAN. And now if you want that to stay there, you have to hit save settings up here, and now it'll show you everything like CPU usage, memory usage, disk space, all that good stuff. And I also like to go in here to advanced settings and miscellaneous and turn on the thermal sensors. Now since I'm using an Intel Core 2 Duo, I use the Intel one. And now after I save that, I can go back here to the home page, and now it will show my CPU temperature, which it is in Celsius, which of course here in the US we don't use Celsius, but a quick Google search will tell you what it is. I think that's about 115 or so. So that's a clean install of PFSense router software. So in the next video I'm going to show how to set up proxy server using Squid and SquidGuard, and we're going to use that to do some web filtering. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you got something useful out of it. I will also be selling these 755s, these 755 small form factors on eBay that come preloaded with PFSense, and hopefully my video will show you how to configure them to meet your needs.